Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Monday, 28th October 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillian Group. Caribbean performing above the average for economic growth. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Barbados and the Caribbean are being hailed by the International Monetary Fund as performing above the global average for economic growth. The IMF's Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, shared the view while speaking at a media conference in Washington, D.C., where the annual meetings were being held. Ms. Georgieva says the Caribbean is implementing key growth-enhancing reforms.
Their performance is better than global average. And when you look into the reason why they're doing better, well, because they have taken seriously the need to trim down debt. You take a country like Barbados or Jamaica, reforms are bringing results. And because they have taken to heart the significance of governance and engaging the public to pursue reforms. So when I think of Latin America, of the big economies in Latin America, it is time to do the same thing, have the ambition to reform in a pro-growth direction.
The United Nations reports that over 10,000 people in Haiti have fled their homes in just the past week due to an alarming surge in gang violence. Armed groups in and around Port-au-Prince are intensifying their attacks, vying for control of strategic areas. The situation has led to severe displacement, with many Haitians living in fear of escalating violence. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
Another day of fighting between Haitian gangs and police on the streets of Port-au-Prince. The gangs already control 80% of the capital. Now they're moving into areas like Solino, a community that remained relatively safe until now.
The goal of the battle is to take control of Salina neighborhood, Delmas 18, Delmas 24, and to move forward because we asked for dialogue with the government. They didn't want that. Today, we turn our weapons on those who fight us.
The gang is part of a coalition of rival gangs known as Viva Ensemble, which means living together. They have issued warnings to the population to either leave or face the risk of being burned to ashes. This is happening as the Haitian police is currently outgunned, and after the United Nations deployed what is known as the Multinational Security Support Mission, composed for now of 400 Kenyan police officers to help in the fight against gangs. But for now, it does not seem to be achieving much.
The Kenyans can't even secure their country. I don't need to talk about Haiti. They just invaded Haiti to make more money than the police. Do you see any Kenyans in the battlefield?
Hundreds of thousands of Haitians have been displaced as gangs continue to extend their control over the capital and the country. Over half of the population is struggling for food and to cover their most basic needs. Christina Auguste is 24 years old and 6 months pregnant. She had to flee her home next to the National Fort. Her house was under fire.
I lost everything. There were lots of people shooting, people running. I fell down on a fence and people passed over me. I couldn't walk because my leg was hurt. I'm not sure what we'll do.
Security analysts say the international community is failing.
Secretary of State Blinken came here and proposed to bring in UN blue helmets, and it was rejected once again by the UN. I believe the United States is playing for time because of the U.S. elections, but they're not trying to find a real solution. If they want to do something for our country, they should stop the weapons coming here.
Gang members are young and heavily armed, with weapons that experts say come from the United States. And as they continue to advance into Port-au-Prince, no one seems to be able to fight back. Pirisabo, Al Jazeera.
National Insurance Board of the Bahamas to host 32nd CARICOM Social Security Organization's meeting 28th October to November 1st, 2024. Details in this ZNS News item.
The National Insurance Board to host the 32nd Caribbean Community Heads of Social Security Organizations meeting October 28th through November 1st. Chairman Philip McKenzie says it's no coincidence the board is spearheading the event on its 50th anniversary.
It is a deliberate demonstration of how our rich legacy over the past 5 decades fuels our commitment to driving Social Security innovation and policy in the future, both locally and across the region. Our involvement in these discussions is especially important as issues such as climate change, shifting demographics, global pandemics, and rapidly advancing technology continue to pose significant challenges to Social Security systems.
Co-chair Dr. Tammy Francis says the 5-day event promises a wide range of activities for local and international attendees.
A robust agenda is planned, including workshops designed for Social Security professionals and high-level closed meetings and the annual business meeting for attending delegates. Together, we are working to ensure seamless arrangements for transportation, security, travel, media coverage, IT logistics, and hospitality, all aimed at delivering an efficient and impactful experience.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
For our regional counterparts.
The next step in the local mediation process in Barbados is to have magistrates trained as skilled family and community mediators. The call from former Chief Justice of Barbados, Sir Patterson Cheltenham. He says the current protocol in the Magistrates' Court is geared towards the civil division, but there are no guidelines for how to deal with matters in the criminal division. Sir Patterson says he has been asked to continue consulting as widely as possible to find out how other jurisdictions deal with community-based mediation. He was speaking as a guest on a panel discussion on the far-reaching effects of mediation during Mediation Week.
I said to myself when I was chief, how do I... That's another step. That's a critical step, because a lot of the work that we do in Barbados in the criminal jurisdiction is managed, as you know, right at the magisterial level. And it is right there that you would want to have as many efforts at resolving matters with less rancor, less reference to violence. And it is in there that I want to see the next big effort.
In the meantime, Court of Appeal Judge Justice Francis Bell says he headed the St. Lucia Criminal Division, where there are rules for mediation in that specific area. But he notes mediation in those criminal courts is not as straightforward as in the civil courts, and they are set to deal with minor crimes and not major offenses.
When we're dealing with mediation in the criminal side, it becomes a little bit more technical and one has to be a little bit more careful. But I will still support it. I will support it because I think that it fits in well with the idea of diversion, which is, to the best of my knowledge, alive in Barbados. It's certainly very alive in the Eastern Caribbean, where in certain offenses, especially for very young offenders, rather than ending up with a conviction or whatever, it is diverted and you send the person to do a community service or do some training or something like that. And that is how the mediation can be used.
On Thursday last, the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus held their graduation ceremony for the faculties of engineering and law. The 2024 graduates were reminded of the importance of resilience, global thinking, and servant leadership in building a stronger Caribbean region. TTT News has more.
The 2024 graduation ceremony for the UWI faculties of engineering and law was guided by the wider theme, Celebrating Caribbean Legacy, a Kaleidoscope of Resilience. Receiving an honorary Doctor of Laws degree was distinguished public health professional, academic and social justice advocate, Dr. Patricia Rodney. Dr. Rodney overcame numerous challenges on many continents throughout her career as a servant leader.
Integrity, resilience, courage, determination, authenticity are traits that will develop more organically on both the personal and professional level as you excel in a career that feeds your passion and provides you with the privilege of being a service leader.
Thanking his mother for her resilience in facilitating his academic journey, class valedictorian Kofi Paul encouraged his fellow graduates to make full use of their potential.
Today is but the first step in a journey to greatness. We are the future. We are Caribbean people, and we are the ones with the ability to create change locally, regionally, and internationally. As lawyers and engineers, we will be the ones driving legislation, creating innovative designs, and propelling the Caribbean towards sustainability. As University of the West Indies graduates, our potential is vast, boundless.
Both valedictorian and honorary graduand stressed the importance of resilience and service, and UWI's 7th Chancellor, Dr. Doddridge Miller, added the necessity of global thinking in building a stronger Caribbean workforce and region.
The UWI, even with its limited resources, cannot afford to view the world only as a local or regional construct. To do so will fail its graduates and ultimately fail the region. We must continue to engage the rest of the world and participate in important research and conversations on matters of global consequence. By doing so, we will continue to produce graduates with the academic competence and the critical and strategic thinking to operate in any environment of their choosing.
From every corner of the globe, well-wishers were able to celebrate the graduates by accessing the ceremony livestream via UWI TV as they embark on journeys of service, advocacy, and commitment to building better Caribbean societies in an interconnected global space. Stacey Edward, TTT News.
Although the debt levels are rising across the world, Central Bank Governor of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Alvin Hilaire, says he does not think debt will become a problem for the Twin Island Republic. CNC3's Andrea Perez-Sobas shares more in Business Watch.
Debt concerns globally were raised by various ministerial heads during the International Monetary Fund conference this week, but Central Bank Governor Dr. Alvin Hilaire says Trinidad and Tobago has been able to withstand some of the economic shocks.
When we entered the pandemic, we had some important buffers. One, we had good reserves. Two, we had a strong heritage and stabilization fund. And three, we had fairly low debt, so that the government, the central bank, were able to provide fiscal support, monetary support, without an increase in debt too much because we were able to draw on those buffers. So again, I think we are in a fairly decent place.
However, Dr. Hilaire stressed that the government would have to be careful with its economic policy to avoid sinking into a problematic debt.
Vigilance is the key, because if you don't have important reforms, then things could go out the window. So we don't want to keep our eyes off the prize. We want to make sure that as a country we keep things moving in the right direction, so we will be able to thrive, particularly in a world that is becoming much more competitive.
Governor Hilaire was speaking exclusively to Guardian Media's senior journalist Peter Christopher in Washington, D.C. during the IMF's autumn meetings.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.